In this video, I got a major update on the track of Hurricane Idalia, and I'm also going to be taking a look at the forecast as we head into September. All that coming up in this video. Howdy y'all, welcome back. We're going to go ahead and get right on into it here. We do have what was Tropical Storm Idalia that has turned into a Category 1 hurricane as we're recording this video, with sustained winds of 80 miles an hour and max gusts of 90. Now this is projected to turn into a Category 3 hurricane before it moves inland, with sustained winds of 120 miles an hour, max gusts of 150. Now why this is going to strengthen is because of high sea surface temperatures with right around 90 degrees. Now that's what fuels these hurricanes. Higher the sea surface temperatures, the more fuel for these hurricanes, and if there is no wind shear, then that's a powder keg environment for a strong hurricane. This is going to break records as we don't really see Category 4 hurricanes that often on this side of Florida. Usually we see the stronger hurricanes on this side, but it can happen. Not to say it won't, but the main risk with this hurricane is going to be, as you see on the little ticker on the screen here, is going to be storm surge. We're expecting upwards of 8 to 12 feet of storm surge to be exact on this side of the state, as there's already been storm surge warnings already issued ahead of this. Of course, hurricane warnings as you can see. So if you haven't evacuated already, just please evacuate. Don't leave this pest behind. But if you haven't evacuated yet, just hunker down in a sturdy building, away from windows, and seek higher ground, as well as storm surge is going to be the primary threat with this hurricane. Now this is still projected to remain a Category 1 as it moves inland with 80 mile an hour sustained winds and 100 mile an hour max gusts. Now this is going to downgrade into a tropical storm as it moves inland towards South Carolina, and then it's projected to get out of the country by Thursday afternoon. Now the primary threats other than storm surge is going to be tornadoes and damaging winds, as there is a slight risk that has been issued for the next couple days. Now the reason why they issued the slight risk for today is due to the outer bands of Hurricane Idalia, and obviously on Wednesday they've issued it because obviously the hurricane's moving inland. So again, if you live in this area of Florida, on the western side of Florida, just please hunker down if you are staying behind, and please evacuate if you can, and make sure you don't forget those pets as well, as this is going to be a pretty historic hurricane. Now other than Idalia, we do have Hurricane Franklin that has formed out here. I mean, look at that eye wall on that hurricane. That is an intense hurricane. Good thing that's not hitting the homeland, but it is going to cause some high surf out there on the coastal Carolinas and into Virginia. So just please be aware of that. And it's just going to turn out into the Atlantic and become a fish storm, as Ryan Hall likes to say on his YouTube channel. And other than those hurricanes, we have a couple tropical storm chances out here. 50% chance in the main development region. Y'all can pause the video anytime and read this if you want to. And out here by Hawaii, we have Tropical Storm Irwin, which is just going to die off, not affect much of anybody. It's just probably going to bring some heavy rains and heavy winds to Hawaii, which they do need a lot of rain over there in Hawaii, as they are under a fire watch. So other than tropical storms and hurricanes, let's go ahead and see what's coming up as we head into September. And to take a look at what we could expect as we head into September, we'll take a look at the 500 millbar height anomalies. It basically represents the troughing and ridging patterns. The reds are the ridging patterns and the blues are the troughing. Basically, this is the good weather and this is the bad weather in most cases. And this is the reason why Hurricane Franklin isn't moving towards the homeland, is due to this little trough right here. Hurricanes hate troughs because they tear them apart. So it's moving away from it. Basically, that's what's happening here. And as we push this forward, we can see that we're in this little troughing pattern out east, while the west central part of the country is in this little ridging patterns. And that is what's keeping the eastern part of the country sort of cool this week, and the western part of the country kind of remaining in this heat wave. But don't get comfortable just yet, as this heat wave is going to return. As you can see, this little ridging pattern is going to set right back up over the central and eastern part of the country again. While the western part of the country, it looks like y'all are going to come into a little bit of a cool down, and this pattern is going to remain the same for quite some time. As we take a look at the temperature anomalies, we're going to verify this. You see the blues are the below average temperature patterns, and the reds are obviously the above average temperature patterns. As we push this forward, you can see the northwest and eastern part of the country is in a below average temperature pattern, while the central part of the country is in an above average trend. And this is going to change, obviously, as we move into September. As we can see, we're going to come into a little bit of a cool trend before a warming trend is going to come back. But if you live in the western part of the country, enjoy these nice below average temperatures. I'll show you the exact temperatures. As you can see, the northwest part of the country is coming into some really chilly temperatures with some blue on the map here. As it pushes forward from Illinois up in the northeast, we're coming into some really frigid air for this time of year. But as you can see, 100-degree temperatures are going to be stretching as far north as South Dakota. So again, just please be prepared for the heat. Again, don't let this cool air fool you this week, as hot air is going to be returning next week. And as we can see on the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook here, it's in agreement with that, as much of the central and eastern part of the country is going to come into an above average temperature trend, while the western part of the country is going to be in this below average temperature trend. And it's going to remain about the same for the next 8 to 14 days. Now, as far as precipitation goes, for the next 6 to 10 days, much of the country is going to be below average as far as precip, while the northwestern part of the country is going to be an above average precipitation pattern. Next 8 to 14 days remains about the same. So lastly, let's take a look at the simulated radar, see if there's going to be any severe weather coming our way other than these hurricanes that are going to be affecting us here in Florida. Now, it looks like the precipitation outlook map was right about much of the country being below average. It looks like we could come into some severe weather, potentially over here in the Dakotas, as we head into the week of September 5th. But really, not much is going on. So it looks like Hurricane Idalia is set to break some records as it moves towards Florida. So if you're in the path of Hurricane Idalia, please prepare now. Please have your hurricane preparedness plan ready. If you're evacuating, go now. And don't forget those pets. But if you're staying behind, then make sure you seek shelter in a sturdy building away from windows and seek higher ground, because we could expect upwards of 8 to 12 feet of storm surge. And this is mainly going to be on the coast of western Florida. So stay tuned to your local news outlets, as they will have more updates on this. And I will have updates on my Twitter page as well, so make sure you go follow that. I'll have a link to that in the description down below. And it looks like as we head into September, we're sort of coming into a cool down for the central and eastern part of the country. But don't be fooled, because this heat wave is coming back next week, where a dry and hot pattern is coming back. But out west, looks like y'all are coming into sort of a wet and cool pattern. So if you like this video, please hit that thumbs up button. Don't forget to subscribe down below. Constructive feedback is always appreciated. I appreciate each and every one of y'all for watching. And until next time, stay safe and never stop forecasting.